Hello dear students, this is my third video. I hope you remember that in the second video we discussed project management process in general, and in that we identified 5 major stages of project management. Today we shall proceed with this third video, and it is all about the details of project plan. So when we start with the project plan sets out 3 most important points. The first one is the work breakdown. This means the works should be broken down into manageable sizes so that we can easily assign human resource, and also we can easily assign financial resources as well. The other one is the schedule for the work. It is all about the time, and in this we try to identify the activities and then arrange according to their predecessor-successor relationship, and we estimate the milestone time, and accordingly again we allocate time. And the third element of the project plan is the resource available to the project. Therefore, these are the three most important points that a project plan sets out. When we go to the next issue, the project planning tries to answer the most important and interrelated questions mentioned hereunder. The first one is what must be done. It is all about activity. And how long will it take? It is all about time. And how much will it cost? It is the amount of resource it consumes. Therefore, these issues will be done using work breakdown structure, as I tried to mention, meaning that the works should be properly broken down so that they will be easy to assign human resource as well as time it needs to be completed. Then until the task can no longer be subdivided, the works will be broken down. And then after doing this, it is easy to estimate how long each small task will take and how much it costs to perform. Therefore, for this reason, we can say that work breakdown structure is the most important step in the project planning process. So in general, the work breakdown can help you estimate time, cost, and corresponding resource it means. Therefore, these 3 things will be easy if the work is properly broken down: time, cost, and resource. And when we go to the steps of project plan, or the basic steps to a project plan, there are 3 most important things. The first one is define the work. For instance, the work should be properly identified, and then subcomponents of that work should be known. Then division should be made until the work is just become concrete and easy to manage. The second one is just schedule the activities, meaning that for each work you have to arrange the sequence of the works and assign the time each work may take. Then after completing this, you have to go for allocation of resource, especially financial resource. For instance, the work that has been broken down should have its own components and subcomponents of work, and each component and subcomponent of work should be given the amount of financial resource it consumes. Then this means just allocating resource for that work. When we go for the project planning process, there are 2 processes in the project planning process. The first one is primary process, and this primary process starts with the scope management, project scope management. So project scope management leads to the work breakdown structure. Depending upon our scope of the project, we may just break down the works into structures. Then task will be obtained. Task may be the smallest unit of work that is easy to be assigned to a given person, and then accordingly time will be just assigned. Then the task will be scheduled. It is a series of means that this schedule may be series of tasks in the order of their precedence and then successor, and then resource will be accordingly just assigned, and finally the project cost will be known. These things are just embraced by the primary process, meaning the scope management will lead to the work breakdown structure depending upon our scope. Then the work breakdown structure results into tasks. Then tasks will be allocated, and the timetable will be made for each task. Then resource will be allocated, so that this will be cost of the project. These are the elements of the primary process. The secondary process contains procurement, communication, risk, and quality issues. So procurement is acquisition of human resource, financial resource, physical resource, and so forth, so that it will be just necessary for a given project to be properly planned. Then communication, because there are human resources, there are a number of resources that we are going to use actually, particularly human resource is a basic one. Therefore, in order to properly coordinate the efforts of different teams and employees of the project, we have to just develop the communication mechanism. That communication mechanism helps a lot. And then the risk management issue is there. Risk is always inevitable. We cannot avoid risks. Therefore, the issue of risk management will be there as far as project plan is concerned. And then the issue of quality is also given utmost attention, because unless and otherwise given project output is of quality, it will not serve the purpose it sets out. Therefore, this secondary process again affects the project plan. Therefore, in general, the project planning process has these two elements, two processes: the primary process and the secondary process. These two come together to affect the project plan, meaning that the project plan is in one way or another affected by these two processes. So, after passing through these all things, the project is planned in detail, and then it will be ready for implementation or for execution. This will be the result. So the tools of project planning are there, as we tried to indicate. The first one is work breakdown structure, as we mentioned, because the result of the work breakdown structure is just the manageable size of work, which is maybe task, the subdivided task, which is ready to be allocated, or which is ready to consume human resource, to consume financial resource, and so forth. The second tool of project plan is Gantt chart. This is a visual representation of the works with their corresponding time. It graphically displays the works and their corresponding time they require. And the third one is network. The network technique simply shows the arrangement of activities. The arrangement is done using just the predecessor, means the work or the activity that comes first, and the successor, that is the activity that comes next. So the network diagram, the network technique indicates simply the arrangement of the works or the activities from the predecessor to the successor, and each work has its own, or each activity has its own duration, so that the network technique allows the project manager to know how long does it take to complete the project. So the work breakdown structure, as we said, will be helpful, and it divides the works into component parts, and the division continues until you go for no longer subdivision. When we go to the example of work breakdown structure, for example, you may refer to your slides on the second chapter, which is given as the hotel building project, example of hotel 5-star hotel building project. That hotel building project may be the major accomplishment that the project is intending to complete, for example. So under that, there are 4 major works: the financial, acquisition, construction, service, and furnishings. Then each of the major work has its own subdivision. For instance, financial acquisition issue involves down payment, mortgage, insurance, and so forth. And the construction also has its own subdivisions: external finishing construction, plumbing, electrical construction, and so forth. So accordingly, the work is broken down, and then accordingly, the appropriate personnel will be assigned to that work. So as we said, Gantt chart is simply a graphic display of the second. This, by the way, Gantt chart is the second important tool in the project planning process. It is a graphic display of schedule related information, and it has its own activities that are listed on the left side, and the duration of time which is mentioned on the horizontal axis, and then each and every activity will have its own duration, so that which activity will take how much time will be shown on that Gantt chart. So Gantt chart is this much important. So you can develop a work breakdown structure and a Gantt chart for a given project of yourself, or just by referring to some projects that exist in your environment, in your locality. For example, just try to develop a work breakdown structure and a Gantt chart for a consumer market study project. So accordingly, you may try and just exercise. So for instance, if we take a given consumer market study project, the consumer market study could have subdivisions. For example, to conduct a given consumer market study or to conduct marketing research. For instance, the first one may be questionnaire development. It could take its own time. And then just to develop a questionnaire, you have to design the questionnaire, you have to just get responses from the concerned parties. This is the first task, subdivided into designing and the response collection. The second part of the consumer market study is reporting, then taking into account the responses of the customers, the potential consumers. You may go for software preparation, you go for writing report, and then accordingly the consumer market study project will be completed. Mind you, in this process there are several activities, several allocation of several resources there, and also it consumes time. So accordingly we can Anyways, subdivide activities. In fact, work breakdown structure is nothing to do with the time allocation and just resource allocation. It simply comes up with what? With the subdivision of workers to obtain the smallest size of tasks, which allows just allocation of time and human resource. So anyways, the work breakdown structure ultimately comes up with the subdivision of tasks. So Gantt chart could be for this prepared, and you may refer to your handout or your slides on page 41 just to see how Gantt chart for a given consumer market study will be prepared. So some exercises could be there, and you may refer to those issues. So what are the advantages of a Gantt chart? Simply, as we tried to say previously, it is simple to understand because it simply provides you with the display, physical, with a visual display of the work arrangements with their corresponding time. So it is simple to understand. It can be used to show the progress of your report, project, which activity comes first, then how long does it take, and then how the project goes on will be understood. It can show you the progress. It can be used for manpower planning. Manpower or human resource planning is again possible because at least it mentions the activities and the time each activity may take. So a Gantt chart is useful tool simply for planning, scheduling, and monitoring projects. This is the main point, the advantage that you are going to obtain out of the Gantt chart: planning, scheduling, and monitoring a project. But at the same time, it has its own disadvantage. It cannot show interrelationship among activities on the large and the complex projects, because it is displayed on a plane of paper. Then it has its own limited space, and it may not work for complex projects. There may be a physical limit to the size, it means, in other ways. And the other one is it cannot easily cope with frequent changes or updating, because it is somewhat that is shown on paper, plain paper or computer, something like that. So it may not be easy or it is not flexible enough. So in general, there is a project cycle. The project cycle starts with identification of project ideas or projects in general. Then we may, after identification of project, we shall go through these things in the next slide, in the next video. The identification of the project will lead to the preparation and appraisal of the project. Actually, the preparation and appraisal of project is done using proposal development. So proposal development stage is related to the appraisal and preparation of projects. Then specifically appraisal will be there. Appraisal is about evaluation, about conducting feasibility studies, and in line with this, making financing decisions. Then the third stage is the project planning stage, as we are trying to go through in this chapter. So project planning is made. The fourth stage is implementation of the project, just execution, converting the plan, what has been put on the paper, to the reality, is another stage, which is implementation stage. And this is the tough stage actually in the project planning process. The other one is just evaluation and closure of projects. Evaluation, because Whether the plan has been achieved as planned will be evaluated here. So implementation against the plan will be checked in this stage. Therefore, the 5 project cycle elements are identification, preparation and appraisal, project planning, implementation, and evaluation and closure. These are the most important steps in the project cycle management. The cycle needs to be managed actually. The cycle needs to be managed. So these are the most important points that we have to address as far as the project planning is concerned, and next time we shall proceed with subsequent videos. Thank you very much for today's discussion, for today's video. So I hope you are going to just read more, exercise more to understand this course. This course is the most important course which helps you in your future career. Thank you very much.